G'day folks, and welcome back to Stitch Up and another episode. This is episode 5 of a very stitched up Christmas, and you can see this lovely new ride here, and it's even open. Yes, the entrance path is supportless, and that is on purpose. I haven't forgotten it. Same with this one. And I will be showing you more of exactly what's going on with the chairlift in our lovely park. So I'm going to let you enjoy the Stitch Up intro, and we'll see you in just a sec. Angels, help me through the changes, and I'll be waiting on Christmas now. Okay, so here we go into the bulk of this episode, and yes, we're starting off to get ourselves a little bit more space. So originally we snaked out these paths, not knowing exactly where everything would go to, and not knowing how the path would organically grow. One thing I did when I moved this path in and made a nice little sort of sharp S-bend, one thing I didn't do is connect up the entrance to this is the shot tower, that big shot tower that we've got. We must name that one as well at some stage. Feel free to drop in some names if you would like that, or naming suggestions, and we'll look at those as well. If we get some good ones, we might use those, so that could be quite cool. You can see just the wider path there, as this will be the path that will go around the rest of the park. We do a little bit of terraforming here. I have created a mountain just on the left hand side of that path, or the entrance sort of side of that path, and there's a mountain, and we've got two distinct split levels in the park now. And later this episode we'll connect those two levels up with, as you've seen, a chairlift. So the Ruby Rocker has been smoothed out and is finished now. I actually do a little bit of work on, I did a bit of work off camera. I do some work on camera in this episode. I do a little bit of work about the, with the station, and I build just a nice kind of station with a little bit of the ruby color in there, a little bit of reds, but nothing too kind of overly done with that color, because we've got to think about, the majority of the ride is already red, and I don't want to overdo it and just have so much red that it's just ridiculous. And I think it's kind of at its limit of what it should be at the moment, once we get that station building in. But we do get the chairlift in. I like to get this chairlift. Now this is the first one I built of these, so working out exactly what to do was quite an interesting little feat. So with the chairlift, I think what you do, well, this is how I've worked it out. So you put a station in, and you make the station as long as you want, which I've done there, and it's all about here is getting the support poles to be exactly where I want them. And the support poles have been placed sort of because once you get these poles in, you can't move the ride, you can't sort of, once you get them in, if you move them, you're effectively redoing the track for that particular ride, and it runs like a roller coaster. Now, if it was a roller coaster, a standard coaster or a standard transport ride, a tracked ride, if you remove a section of a completed one, you can quite easily do what you need to do, reconnect it, smooth it out, and it's no problem. With this one, it's completely different ball game. So I think we just get a bit too high here. I think the final product is actually a little bit lower there. I don't want them to get too high. I want them to clear over the top of the Ruby Rocker, but not be a ridiculous sort of high one. I want them to feel like they're flying amongst the Ruby Rocker crew. The queue, and the crew, the crew that operate it, yep, definitely. But yeah, connecting it up is, if you make a join in the middle, connecting it up is an absolute nightmare on this one. And I think that's just how it works. It's not like the other system where you can just connect it up and smooth it out. This one you have to know exactly where you're going to. So you point things with the curved bits, and then you can only go straight with going higher or lower on the straight bits. So we head back over to the Christmas village. What happens here is I work out, after putting I work out that one of the supports is actually sitting in the middle of one of the queues, and I don't want to move the queue, so what I do is I delete the entire second half of the ride and redo it on its existing path. So here I was just trying to get a nice right angle, and you can see, all I need to do is pretty much shrink it down. I probably should have had angle snap on for this. I think it probably would be smarter to have had angle snap. Here I'm going through the trees, and I want them to, I want the idea of the guest sitting on the chairlift. I want their sort of, like their feet almost going to touch the trees, and I like that. I think that's kind of cool. I think people would like that, just flying above the tops of the trees. Of course, never touching anything that anything at all is as part of the realism and safety. That would be exactly how we go there. And I think later on, I actually, in its first iteration, we actually go up over the waterfall, and I like that. I like that you get to sort of see, as you're coming into the park, you're going over the waterfall, but you'll see, this sort of two-way chairlift coming over the top. Now, I actually bend this out over the water, so the break is made just before the raise up the hill, and this whole second part gets recreated in its same sort of format. Now, here we're going over the river, or the lake at the top, the water catchment that's sitting at the top. Now, that part there, I guess, would be just a reservoir that really is from a park side, would be all about just making sure the waterfall's got water to go over it, and effectively water would be pumped straight back up and then put back down the waterfall, so it'd be continuous sort of circuit. So I wanted a bit of realism there. Now what happens here is, I think that the way you do it is you need to run it like any other ride where it connects to the back of the station. And of course, that isn't the case, so you don't. So I'm coming down, and this whole park gets reinvented very shortly. You don't actually come down to the station. I've left it all in anyway. I wanted to show you, and there are two parts to the station. So you've got the part with the wheelhouse at the start, the part with the, that big part with the mechanics where that sort of runs it all from that side. And then, of course, what you need to do is put a second station in, so you don't connect to the back of this at all. And I probably should have realised that, each chairlift doesn't run on both rails. They run on, here I am trying every little bit, and at some stage I think I Google it and I check it on YouTube, and it's just a giant shambles. But when we cut, we put a cut in here shortly, and when we cut to it, I think I've worked it out, and you'll be able to see exactly what they do. So it's point to point, two stations, and what happens is people can board at either station. So I put a station up the top and a station down the bottom, and this is the transport ride now for people. Well, it's an exciting ride. I think it's an exciting ride. The finished version actually cantilevers out over the mountain a little bit more. The mountain has grown somewhat in the final version. At the end of this episode, we're actually going to have a nice little look around in the live play section of the episode, and what we'll do is we'll actually have a little bit of a look around certain things. In the next episode, I think enough of the park is done, so in episode 6 I think I'm just going to have a free play episode. Here's me putting in the other station, and when I put in the other station I put the wheel at the back of it, and then we start to look at some colours, and I think I even move the entire ride a tiny bit and then just see if that works, and I think it does. I'm using red railing. Now you only get the railing on the curve bits, so it's just the wires for all the other section, which is kind of cool when you're looking at it up close, but when you're looking at it from a distance, it does look like it's not complete, but that's you'd never do that, and I guess we need to think about it from the guest detail level. But yeah, we put the second section in. You can see the horizontal wheel at that one. We'll go have a look at it in a bit more detail. The model for this chairlift is spectacular. The mechanics and the modelling that Frontier have done in that is absolutely spectacular. And of course, a chairlift works, I think, in any park, but it certainly works in a snow park because it looks like a ski lift, and that's really, really cool. And I really like that. I think it's I think it's cool. I had an idea for a new game for Frontier called Planet Ski, where people will be able to create sort of different ski runs over mountains, and you'll be able to create mountains and different ski runs and have a fully functioning park where people will come and they'll go on gondolas, and they'll you could have like the Alps, or you can have Canada, you can have Australia, all these different places around the world, Japan where people ski, France, lots of places where people ski around the world, and then Croatia, and then yeah, and then, yes, I got completely sidetracked there. I was trying to think of other countries, couldn't think of any. You can see our mountain friend is growing here, so that's pretty cool. And I guess you can start to see that I'm widening the lake as well, and that all kind of stays. Yeah, so Planet Ski, that was my little idea. I really like, so the when I'm ever whenever I'm roughing out this section, I do come back and soften it out a little bit and try and take a blend of the two. But what I do like doing in this with this whole park is I like to smooth out sections, and when I smooth out different sections, I end up painting, and I select the use selected paint and I paint straight off it. So I think that kind of works. Yeah, and I think that's kind of good. So now the very next section of the episode is going to be me building a station building around the Ruby rocker. And so this station building is sort of what I'm doing here is I'm using, I wanted a wood effect. I wanted the queue lines for entry and exit to be slightly different from the building. So this is my spec I gave myself, that I want, these queue lines to look a little bit different, but still tie in and look like the same structure. And then, yes, of course, there's little reminders there to subscribe to Stitch Up. 99 subscribers now. I think we were at 98 last time, or 97 maybe. And we are at 99, so about to hit 100 subscribers. Anyway, yeah, so I then go ahead and I put in this structure here. So this is painted, and of course here's me really kind of trying to work out the grid here and saying, well, if it's one queue across, then why are we having such issues? And I don't know what happens there, but I find a better way of doing it, and I think I win the battle. I can't remember how I actually win the battle of putting the other one in, but I think I've just done it. And we start to see a bit more of the finished product. So we'll have when we have a look at it, we'll show you the finished product of this station building. So definitely nice and tall, nothing to stand out. And we must remember that this part of the path here, this staircase you can see that I'm working on at the moment, this staircase is actually the exit, not the entrance. So of course, part of my I guess my ethos, or part of the idea for this park, is every ride would have a complex queue coming off the main pathing system, and take them through a little bit of kind of, a nice little bit of discovery. Seeing the ride as well is always good, and then I always want my exits to be straight back onto the path. So I guess the idea is the station buildings will always be nice and close to the paths. And we go ahead, and what we do is we're trying to make sure that they all my rides have this sort of idea. I've actually so if you remember back, just while we're looking at this, if you remember back to because I'm going to show you in the live play in just a sec, but once you think back to the Avalanche, which is the big observation wheel, that big ride, so I had a sign for the Avalanche, and it was like lots of rocks that have fallen down, but behind that was a natural snow terrain mountain, just a really small one, and it interacted with the coaster a little bit. Now what I do is I actually flatten that out completely, so it's a completely flat bit, and I shrink the sign down so that you have to kind of walk through this kind of three-dimensional rock fall, and I think it's way better. And then I put a really cool modern flat ride in, one of those claw rides. And of course here, just a little bit here, because this is me with Planet Coaster not having built for quite a while. I'm trying to line up these bits. These are non-grid bits, and they have to line up with the grid. And what I do is I forget that you can hit F, and it will come in at some sort of way, and it does. It comes in on the ground. It doesn't come in the vertical way I need it. But the best part about that is you can turn angle snap on, and then go ahead and rotate it into any way, and it's now aligned with the building. So that's really cool. And of course, coming off the building, my queues are all at right angles. So the entire queue system, up till about 3 meters before the start of the queue system, the entire queue is at right angles to the station, which is really helps me. I'm not Silverette builder, level builder, and not in any way. So I need to have all these little things that actually sort of help me out, to help me out with the angles. It's amazing how you see people like Theme Park Worldwide, and Other builders, even Rudy Renkenmel, Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo, they build a lot quite freely and not on the grid and not to the maths, even when you're off the grid, not using maths to line things up. And it turns out that they get it quite good. I always panic, and I like the idea of symmetry, and I like the idea of things looking mathematically correct and perfect. But I think what I need to remember is that you're never going to be able to tell in some of these, and you can tell in some cases, but once you put like multiple levels of the theming on. So for example, this wall here is it's a wooden wall that's being painted. Once you put that on, if you put other stuff around it and then add levels to it, so we start to put some horizontal planks in here. I actually put some fencing in, so I want to be able to see, this is the return section of the coaster, and I want to be able to see the train needs to be able to come into the station, and I want to be able to see that train sort of in the station. I want people to be able to see up into the station, I guess, from the park. I want them to be able to see into the station and the return section from the new chairlift that we commissioned. And so, yeah, I guess my theory here is, I was saying about levels, and I guess that, you must remember this is always the first level, and the next bits are the bits of detail. So the first level is that flat wall, but the second level is going to be those vertical pillars. And isn't it, look at that, if you just look at those vertical pillars there, how much extra detail do they add? They look like they hold the support up. They're a similar material, and they just work. So we're going to get into the live play section very shortly, but I hope you're enjoying the speed play parts and the episodes in general. I guess we are, as I'm filming this, we're sitting in December, and it's been a little break while I do a few things. I'm doing quite a few things off camera because I want the park to progress, but then I'm trying to make sure that I include lots of speed builds of important stuff that I want to show you guys and tell you about as we do. Now here's me picking out the roofs. Yes, I do consider putting in that sort of caged roof, because so people can look down. But we'll have a lovely look around the park very shortly, and we'll talk about the roof and what we do. You'll notice the roof also has some snow to it and a lot more detail, and we can go through all that, and I'll take you through it. And in the very next episode 6, we'll actually ride a few of these rides, and we'll be able to all jump on a few of the different rides. We'll go on, I think, the chairlift. We'll go on just in probably one direction. We'll go on the Ruby Rocker, and we might go on the observation wheel. We'll certainly walk in from the entrance. That'll be episode 6. But we're coming up to the end of the speed part of the build, and I'm going to leave it here. I'll see you in just a sec for some free play, and we'll have a look around. Cheers. Hey guys, so welcome to the free play part of this episode. So this is episode 5, and we're continuing on with the free play. So let's continue on from the very start of the park, and we'll do a little walkthrough of how the park's going to look. And of course, you can see the chairlift there as well, which is kind of cool. Okay, so let's do this. You'll notice we've got guests in the park as well. Yes, we are having people in with us, and that is absolutely lovely. I'm going to switch camera modes here and really go in here and see if we can just kind of go along with them. Yep, there we go. Lots of people in here, and they're all doing their thing, aren't they? Look at them. They look thrilled. They're discussing it with each other and just generally being Planet Coaster enthusiasts, or coaster enthusiasts. So, rightio, that's not what I wanted to do. If we have a look here, let me switch camera modes again. Ooh, we really are needing to turn down the camera sensitivity. The park is looking a lot more finished now. This is probably about a third of the park, maybe 50%, maybe getting up to 50%, but you can see as you come out of the, can I get back in there? Yep. There we go. Let me just see if I can do this. I'm not the best at doing these, but if you come straight out, you can see there's a chairlift up there. So that's kind of cool. I like that. And I do like the red and the green. I think it's kind of good. I will have to go around and just keep monitoring where the trees hug. I do like how the trees have hugged it. These people are leaving the park. They look happy. She's sunburnt. I think she might be Scottish. Yeah, there's a chairlift coming back. The chairlift's quite good in real life because it it's quite big. I like the big poles. It's quite big. There are closed gondolas as well. We may include one of those. I never say never on these things. So let's follow the people along and go with them and do a nice little walk through of the park. And in the next episode, we're going to do an actual a proper sort of riding of all the rides, which would be quite kind of cool. Okay, so they do this, they come down here, yeah, they come down all the levels. I haven't thought about how I'm going to theme this up. There's the waterfall, nice photo opportunities for the waterfall, which is kind of good. I have to put an observation point in here where they can look down, so I've got to put one of those in. Let me make a little note of that, observation points. Yeah, because I need to put one of those in. So I guess the idea is if we just go back, let's go back here just gently. You put an observation point here, and people at the moment just bypass this section. This is sort of nothing, but it's such a nice cantilever the way it hangs over. I'm thinking I'm actually going to take the supports out and put custom supports in here as well, because I don't like the supports at all, and I don't like where it's put them. But that might be a fine tuning. I probably should do it sooner rather than later, because then I won't be making too many more changes to the front of the park, because you don't want to be doing that. You want to progress through the rest of the park in phased. But I think there it just kind of looks, I think you get an idea of the coasters, the Ruby Rocker going through the middle of the avalanche, and yeah, that's all cool. And the waterfall. Okay, so we've got one of our flat rides here, so you can see some people, and this queue is all done with the nice kind of like a maze sort of stuff. It's I can't remember what it's called. What is this stuff called? The hedge, the topiary hedge. Yeah, and if you look up there, you'll see people on the chairlift. Now it is quite high, and I would thought this part of the chairlift wasn't very high, but it is quite high. I guess it's really high at the top of the mountain as well. But the chairlift is basically two purposes. You could either go and to get from the bottom section to the top section, but also to go ahead and see the rest of the park. And we go through. Let's get a grip on the camera. Stitch up. Yeah, let's get a grip on how we're doing this. People, okay, zoom up. This is it. I know how to. This is the camera I'm used to. It's when you turn off, when you hit T and you go into this kind of follow mode. This part, this look around person, first person kind of mode. That's when I start to get myself into trouble. So I'll stay in this. I do like the variation in the. In here with the roofs, and I've included a third type of building here, a blueprint. This here is what is it? What is this building? Building 24. It's a Cosmic Cow milkshake in a fairy tale setting, I think. And what I've done is I've set it back a little bit, so I guess from the top of it, people will come past on the chairlift and they'll go right past that, and they'll be able to see it nice and close. So of course I've checked the chairlift here, and you can see there you could not touch that tree, but it kind of goes through the middle of it. And again, if you have a look here, it does look like they will be able to almost kick the top of that tree, but they can't quite do that. So I think that's kind of cool. We'll be putting more of these lights around everywhere as well. But the drop tower's there. I think the clearance is all nice for everything. And of course we go into we go across the bridge, and you've got your entrance to the avalanche. And this is where we had this was a bit of a mess, this whole section. I couldn't work out the transitions for this section. I couldn't work out how I wanted to look. Now we've got the avalanche sign looking like this, which is kind of nice. There's a lovely little, look at that. That is lovely. That'll be a nice thumbnail. But we want the thumbnail you would have noticed this won't be the thumbnail, but it is quite nice. The reflection in the water there is spectacular. But yeah, this claw ride is nice and modern, and I like the juxtaposition of a modern ride versus a wooden roller coaster, which is a nod back to the past. A very modern wooden roller coaster though. Look at the drop. It's good. Good. I don't like how the train stops there, but I've checked it, and even with big queues, he only stops there for a tiny little bit, a couple of seconds, 5 or 6 seconds or so. But yeah, the entrance to the queue is here, and we did talk about the exits to the queues trying to be close to where all of the main paths are. I guess the avalanche is one that breaks that. You have to see all the people on the avalanche there, and Yeah, so this queue here as well, again, same thing. So we were talking about, yeah, exactly that. So you have got the entrance here. I've started using these 45-degree angles, these entrances, to make all this nice. And I've really settled on this. I put a 45-degree angle snap onto these curves, and I have one horizontal bit there. That's actually a horizontal bit there. And I like that. I think it's nice. And it gives you a chance to put some things there. And I've started to use these other little Christmas trees as well, just in that section. So we will fill this section out with, we'll absolutely spam this section out very, very shortly, and it'll kick off. We'll spam it with all things Christmas. No, we won't do that. Okay, so the avalanche is there. Ooh, yeah, so I didn't realize that the queue, I didn't even think about that. Oh yeah, this thing goes over the top of the queue. Did I think about that? Yeah, I think I did. Of course I did. Right, so we got that. That's all good. Let's get to the path that we just created, though, because we want to have a look. So we've got here going around the path. We've got our new flat ride here, which is lovely. Yeah, brilliant. We go around the path, and here's the entrance to the Ruby Rocker. Now, you've got a sign for the Ruby Rocker being up here, but I'm going to have something for the Ruby Rocker to be here, and I will create a custom sign for that. So I started using these letters, these lit letters for here, and that kind of works, but I will be going back and putting in a different custom made sign for the Ruby Rocker. If we have a look as well, you can see, oh wow, it's interesting. I went through and recreated this path. I put it down, and then I replonked every piece of this path with no supports, and I put custom supports in, and the supports match the building, so the station building. So yeah, if we have a look at here, sorry, I'm zipping around here, but if you go in for the queue at this section, and let's just have a quick look at that. So you come in here. I'll be fixing underneath those path sections because I just don't like these bits, and I don't like how it does that. I might have to just go and fix that and make it supportless. Yeah, let's go see. Yeah, so we'll fly over the top of the path. It's a nice sort of queue that gets a bit sort of bigger. Sorry, smaller as it gets to the top. A bit like a Christmas tree. I think that's what I was going for. And then we get down to this kind of, so it's almost like we're in this sort of lake area. I might start limiting how many people are in the park as well, because I think I've got too many people in the park. Okay, let's go and have a look now at here, and there's that first roll out of the station, and you get a nice little roll out of the station and straight into the lift hill. And that's kind of good. We do like that. As you get off the Ruby Rocker, we'll be riding that in the next episode. Here is the completed part. So you can see there we've got what do we got here? We've got these sections here. So I like that it's kind of a bit plainer. I think I might go back and put a bit more of this wooden structure onto that part as well, but the exit there is good. I'd like the idea that the exit is also very I'll probably need a sign there saying exit as well. I might have to have a look at it, but yeah, the building is purposefully plain. It's not meant to stand out, but it's meant to look finished. I guess that's what I'm doing. And of course the new mountain will have a bit more, we'll get a little bit more terraforming, and that will be lovely. And of course we started the episode by starting here and looking at this chairlift, and the chairlift flies across, so we'll have a quick fly over it, over the village. Then it goes over here. You'll be able to see a lot of the Ruby Rocker there, and of course that part of the Ruby Rocker is the show bits, the big turn there, and then goes through the middle of it. So that is lovely, and it really actually flies around this. Let's see, I think it might be on its way, because it was just leaving the station building. Let's see if we can see it. It should be running. I've turned mechanics off so that we don't have any ride breakdowns, because I don't want that to be part of my park. Okay, so he's going up there now, so we might just, let's have a bit of a look around. So now you can see it comes back out over the water, the chairlift, and then it comes over here, so it doesn't go over the top of it. Last time it came across here and it just interfered too much, and I like the idea that it really gets this sort of really vertical lift part coming straight up here. I think that's kind of cool. Okay, here he comes. We're going to watch the ruby rocket come down here and go through here. These trees were only planted in the last sort of not too long ago. I only put these trees in recently, but you can see there he does really get a bit of speed around here. This is probably why the rating of this coaster is quite scary, because he really gets a lot of speed there. I probably, in retrospect, I don't want to make any changes, but in retrospect I should have slowed the coaster down a little bit. I can't put trim brakes on without a straight section, and there are no other straight sections in the entire coaster except for here. So, which is the brake section, the first of the 2 brake sections. Okay, we're going to just wrap up very shortly, but yes, you get to the top level, and I'll explain quickly about the top level. So you come across here, and the top level as well, and we'll be riding all this, but you've got some natural mountain which really separates the whole park. These 2 mountains are the parts, and that one's actually taller. Brilliant. These 2 I've created. These mountains kind of they're the features of the park, and then everything else is split over 2 levels. I haven't worked out about this 3rd zone, but this 2nd zone is going to be all about roller coasters, and I'm thinking of having the big toboggan. I can't remember what it's called. If we have a look at it, if I go to track rides custom, and I think there's one which is is there a toboggan coaster? Is there a tobogganing? No, there's not a tobogganing. Interactive, what's this, water rides? No, let's go to coasters and let's see about these guys. And if I go to wooden coasters, the bobsled coaster. Yeah, now the bobsled coaster is probably, is it? Yeah, the bobsled coaster. So this one here, he goes on, if we have a look here, the bobsled coaster, we place him up, and this is, let me just see there. So is this the sort of one where these guys, bobsleds, and they go into there? No, that's not it. This is not it. This bobsled coaster, oh, this is very good for Christmas though. Very cool for Christmas. Okay, I'm not too sure about that. It's not that one. There's a coaster where they kind of go, I'll have to have a look at it. Sorry about my ignorance on some of these coasters, guys. But there is a coaster where they go ahead and sort of don't go on a rail. They kind of go freely down like almost like a dry water slide. If you know what that is, leave it in the comments. It will be in episode 7 because that's when we'll be creating it. But yeah, the idea for this top section is coasters. So a bobsled coaster somehow traversing down could be really cool. But additionally, and geez, the bobsled coaster could be interesting because we might put a lift hill at the very end of it, which could be kind of cool. But I'm also thinking of having dueling coasters up here as well, so 2 coasters dueling each other, and we might do one inverted and one non-inverted coaster, maybe a flawless coaster and an inverted coaster, a bit like Sentosa Island in what's that, Singapore. Yeah, at Universal Studios Sentosa, there is a couple of coasters that kind of, one is inverted and one's non-inverted, and they kind of race each other, which is kind of cool. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to leave this episode here. This has been episode 5 of a very stitched up Christmas. Please leave your comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe. You might even be the 100th subscriber to Stitch Up, and well, hopefully we're even more by then. But do tell your friends about Stitch Up. Do leave your comments, hit the like button, and follow me on Twitter at @TheRealStitchUp, and I will see you in the next episode. Cheers.